welcome to another reading vlog. I have really enjoyed doing these like readathon reading vlog things that I thought I wouldn't wait for another readathon to come along. I would just do my own. Basically, the reason why I'm doing this is because I am in a bit of a reading slump. I think it's because my brain decided it was ready for some non-fiction. So during lockdown, I barely touched any non-fiction, and normally I love me some good non-fiction, but lockdown brain was just like, no, fiction stories only. So I got through a lot of reading that way, and then my brain was like, I'm ready for some non-fiction, and the reading just kind of went downhill. And so I went on my Instagram and I was like, I'm in a bit of a reading slump. What tips do people have? And one that came up time and time again was like rereading old faves, reading childhood faves, and I was like, maybe I will try that. But the thing that cemented it for me was I was looking through my Goodreads. I was like looking through all of the books that I had like said I'd read on there. I got Goodreads only a few years ago, so all of the books that I read as a kid on there, because honestly I probably couldn't remember them all. But one that apparently I did remember when I like first signed up to Goodreads, I've no idea, was The Silver Crown. And as soon as I saw it on the list, I was just like, oh, I was like jolted back into that feeling of when I first read it. As soon as I saw that book there, I was like, oh, I have to reread that. I have to like remember what happened in that book and like why it left such a imprint on me, I guess. And so I started looking for on my bookshelf childhood books that I had kept that clearly meant something to me, and then collected some more. Basically, I'm going away on a sort of honeymoon, so I want to take these with me and just like get some reading done, and then also just like get through these. I've not given myself a timeline of when to finish them, but we will see. These are the books. I've got 5 total. 5 short, fast-paced favorite books that I read from my childhood. So the first, as mentioned, is The Silver Crown by Robert C. O'Brien. Apparently it was written in like the 1960s. So it's an old book. So this one I didn't actually own still, but I found it on the book depository. So I got it from there. Ones that I did own, we have The Magician's Nephew, which is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia. I have a whole box set that look like this. It is glorious. I love it so much. I picked The Magician's Nephew because it's just the first one, and so I was like, oh well, if I want to like continue reading it, then I will start it at number 1. But also I really like this book. I think the ending of it felt very satisfying to me in terms of the setup for The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and also just like the introduction and the backstory of Narnia. I love a good backstory. So yes, big fan of the Chronicles of Narnia in general. I loved those books as a child. Another one that was on my shelf, and I actually have kept several of his books, Michael Morpurgo. This is Waiting for Anya. This is maybe like the most impactful book I read as a child. Like, it's just one that has stuck with me. It's one that I remember. It's maybe something that cemented my interest in like Holocaust fiction, which sounds so strange to say, especially as someone who's Jewish. But this book tells the story of a little boy who lives in France during the Second World War. France is occupied by the Nazis, and his village is like on the border with Spain, and he discovers that there is a Jewish man hiding like in the woods nearby, and he's smuggling Jewish children across the border into Spain. And this man is waiting for his daughter Anya to come and meet him there. And honestly, it is a hard book to read. Thinking about it makes me want to cry. I can't remember how old I was when I read this, but maybe like 11 or 12 or something. And I just remember sobbing. And then the other one that I already owned is The Ruby in the Smoke by Philip Pullman, author of his Dark Materials. This is also book 1 in a series. There are 4 of them. I have all 4 of them. And then the final book is another one that I had to purchase because I got rid of all of my Eva Ibbotson books or I donated them or gave them to a younger cousin or friend, who knows. And I read many of her books and I loved them. They were like fantasy, adventure, like all sorts of really cool stuff going on. And I didn't know which one to get for this reread, but I went with Witch because I sort of remember like little baby Hannah like reading this and it maybe being like one of my first like fantasy kind of introductions to feminism or like women's issues. I don't know. It's basically like a beauty dating contest and all of the witches, all of the women are very different, and they're all like pinned against each other and have to be like competitive with each other, but obviously there is like a message at the end of it, at least in my memory. I don't know. Those are the books that I'm going to be reading in this reading vlog over who knows how long a period of time, but hopefully it like breaks my reading slump and we like get back into reading stories and stuff. I also do have a fuck ton of non-fiction that is on my TBR that I want to get through too, but let's prioritize some stories first to like get the reading brain juices going. After I was looking up and trying to remember books that I read as a child and like remembering which ones were my absolute faves, I was like, oh, it's all white characters. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that like most of the books that I read as a child were white protagonists, white authors. It is what it is. It's unfortunate, obviously, and I just hope that like if and when I have kids, I give them a bit more of a diverse range of books. Okay, let's get reading. Hello. I always feel like I look like such a pea when I have my hair tied back, but I have started reading The Silver Crown. I started reading it yesterday, I read some more this morning, and I'm just gonna chill out on the sofa. It's a Sunday, and I have no plans other than just doing some reading. I picked this one first because it's the longest, I think, and also it's the one that I feel like I'm just like most curious about what actually is the plot and why do I have this such strong memory of obsessing and like loving this book. So we'll find out. So far, so good. I'm enjoying it. Reading vlog update time. So I'm almost done with The Silver Crown. It is riveting. It's just as exciting and like mysterious as I remember, and I'm very much enjoying it. However, Dan recently introduced me to a new game, Crusader Kings 3, and all of my reading time has now been spent playing this video game that I am obsessed with. So my relaxation downtime has got a new activity, but we are going away. It is honeymoon time, and so I'm just packing and I'm taking this bad boy with me. Hopefully we'll finish it, and then I'm bringing 2 more. I always bring books on holiday and trips with me and then just never get round to reading them, but I've decided to take The Magician's Nephew and Witch with me, and we'll see how I get on. I have very low expectations for myself, especially because I'm actually really sad about going away because it means I can't play Crusader Kings. It's so good. I've been having dreams about it. Are you ever gonna see clips of me actually reading, or am I just going to talk about it? So, back from honeymoon. It's been a few days. I've just been straight back into work, but let me update you on where I'm at. Didn't film any reading during honeymoon. Rightly so, you know, I don't have to be constantly switched on. I did get these 2 clips from the car. How lovely, how lovely. But I finished The Silver Crown. It was lovely. And then I started The Magician's Nephew on our honeymoon, and then I finished it like the day we got back or something. Again, just adored it. However, I know that the whole Narnia thing is like heaven and like Aslan is God, or no, Narnia isn't heaven, Aslan's country is heaven. But obviously this is the like story of the creation of Narnia. This is like the Adam and Eve, like the temptress, the serpent, the forbidden fruit, the knowledge. Like, I knew all of that in theory, but I read this as a child, and reading it now as an adult, I'm like, oh, it's not subtle at all. It's just fully the story of creation. There's no like simile or metaphor. It just is what it is. But I still enjoyed it. Bible, great story. So now I am currently reading Which Witch. And I know I said at the beginning that I remember this being like feminist. And now I'm just like, Hannah, what? Maybe, we'll see, maybe. But it's just basically a competition between women fighting for the love of a man. Why did I think that was feminist? Maybe it has a plot twist ending. I can't remember. Oh dear. How far through am I? I am this far through. So not that far through, but you know, we're getting there. One of the reasons why I haven't been filming my reading, you know, like the nice little reading montages, is because I've just been reading this in bed and I don't work in the bedroom. No phone, no camera, and I'm naked. So you'll just have to believe me that I'm reading this. And then to be read are Waiting for Anya and The Ruby in the Smoke. I have given myself until the end of this week. Also this week, I am basically catching up on all of the work that I didn't do whilst I was away. And next week, I'm doing a lot of my online classes for my sexuality educator course, which basically means that I'm also front loading a load of work this week so I can effectively have next week off. So can I get all of my work done and read these by the end of the week? If I can't, you will still see this video and I will have failed. That's why my deadline is this weekend. So my editor has time to edit. Okay, I had to stop reading for a second because we just met the antagonist of the book. And this is where maybe the feminism comes in. But this is clearly like the author, maybe, like coming through. But basically this is what it says. So she lived in London where she kept a beauty parlour. So this is the evil witch. She's an enchantress and she's like a dark, evil witch. It was a wicked place. Stupid women were lured into it and assured they would become young and beautiful if they let themselves be pummeled and pounded and smeared with sticky creams and have their faces lifted and their stomachs flattened. They paid a lot of money to Madame Olympia, who would put a little bit of magic into the creams and ointments that she used so that, at first, they did look marvellous, but it was the kind of magic that wore off very quickly, leaving the women even uglier than before so that they would rush back to her and pay her more money, and the whole thing would start again. She was also horrid to the girls she employed and paid them too little and bullied them. So she's just describing capitalism and patriarchy, other than describing the women who go there as stupid women, because we all fall for capitalism and patriarchy, and it's not our fault sometimes, but we can resist, we can. But I just wanted to share that. Good evening. I've just finished reading Which Witch, and whilst it didn't have a feminist plot twist, which my brain conjured up out of nowhere, I don't know why I thought that existed. It did have a plot twist that I'd completely forgotten about, so maybe I just equated the fact that there were lots of women in this book and that there was a plot twist, and I remembered it being a feminist plot twist. But either way, it was fine. I can see why I liked this as a child. I am gonna go to bed now and start reading Waiting for Anya by Michael Morpurgo. This one is quite a heavy book for a children's book, but I remember finding it really powerful when I was younger reading this, and I'm excited to like go through that journey again. But we actually have had a real life plot twist where I have less time than I thought to finish those books, and I actually don't know if I will get to Ruby in the Smoke. I might actually just have to save this one for another time because I have agreed to be on this podcast episode for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and it's basically like a book club episode. So they pick 3 of the previous winners and they're like, read these. And so now I have 3 books that I have to read in like 3 weeks. And I'm a very slow reader. And these aren't kids' books. And I'm not gonna include these in part of this vlog, but I just wanted to show you because they just arrived today. The Tiger's Wife, Half of a Yellow Sun, and Fugitive Pieces. The only one that I'm vaguely familiar with is Half of a Yellow Sun because I've read one of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's other books, Americana. These 2, no idea, we will see. So now I'm like, okay, let's get through these childhood faves. And then I need to move on to these adult, bigger books. But I'm gonna go to bed now and do some more reading. Don't worry, Dan, just film myself reading.
Are you just reading today?
No, I've got other stuff to do, but I'm just gonna do a bit of reading before lunch. And so this brings us to the end. So I reread The Silver Crown, The Magician's Nephew, Witch, and Waiting for Anya. I now want to go and watch the trailer for the film for Waiting for Anya that I didn't know existed. I didn't read The Ruby and the Smoke. Maybe this will be another one for when I'm in a reading slump and I just want like a quick, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. And also, this was really fun, like revisiting old childhood faves and seeing what I remembered correctly, what I didn't remember correctly. There was so much in Waiting for Anya, like a lot of the detail of stuff that I did not remember at all. I just remember like the main plot and the ending specifically, and I still really enjoyed that, even though it's like quite heavy. This little project served its purpose, which was get me out of a reading slump. And actually I now have other reading obligations, so we're just going straight from one to another. But I'm hoping that like the momentum of reading a bunch of like quite fast-paced books will help me with these longer ones. Thank you for watching. What do you do when you're in a reading slump? Do you ever like go back and read old favorites that you know are going to be like quick, easy reads to like get you back into the swing of things? Or do you have another strategy? Also, as a child, did you ever read any of these books? And what did you think of them? I hope you have a good day and happy reading.